I'm gonna go ahead and go live because I've been getting distracted by a whole lot of stuff. Hold on one second. Straight to the point. Hold on, y'all. Let me go ahead and let's get into this right now. Now, y'all smash that like and sub to the channel if you are new here, and hit the notifications as well. And shouts out to the whole entire LDBC, basketball and boxing. Uh, all right, now this and I need to make the title. Give me 1 second. Oh, 1 second, y'all. Should have made the title. Um. Okay. Now, hey, what's up, Brown Sugar? I see you in here. Hey, y'all share the video. Y'all hit that like too. Just get it out there, man. I'm working on trying to maneuver all this stuff that I got going on right now. But with Todd Tucker and Candy Burris, I know the title doesn't say it right now, but I just needed to go ahead and jump right into it before I get interrupted, and then I'm gonna go ahead and rename the title. But listen, man, this situation with Candy Burris and Todd Tucker, man, they've been done for years, and I'm not gonna go into the whole spiel like I was earlier because a lot of people may know who Candy Burris is, and for those of y'all that don't, she was a R&B recording artist of one of my personal favorite groups, Escape, and then of course she became a reality show celebrity on the hit show, The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Some of y'all may care for it, some of y'all don't. I personally like the show, especially when it was at its peak. But Candy Burris and Todd Tucker have been done for years, man. Now they were together, I think a total, I want to say they've been married for about 11 or 12 years or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But they had been together a little bit longer than that. Now, initially, Candy and Todd weren't even supposed to be dating because Todd Tucker, he started off as a producer behind the scenes of Real Housewives of Atlanta. But what ended up happening is, they eventually liked each other, Candy and Todd, and in order for them to start dating or whatever, one of them had to, quit their jobs because it was illegal. They couldn't, be dating each other while they was on the set and all that other stuff or whatever. That was just the rules. And so Todd, he stopped working on the set and actually became, a cast member and all that other stuff. Now, here's the thing, man, that a lot of people got to understand. initially there was rumors that Todd really didn't, in the beginning, he really wasn't like feeling Candy and everything, which I mean is crazy because it was like Todd was like, I guess, judging her or something like that. He said that, you look all right and everything, but the body's all right, but the face, I'm not really with it or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, obviously he liked something because they ended up, having kids or whatever, and they ended up knocking boots or whatever the case is, and smashing, whatever you want to call it. But they met up, you know what I'm saying, and at first it was just sexual. It was just sexual, it wasn't no commitment, but Candy wanted commitment. She wanted commitment from the get-go. And Todd was kind of opposed to it. But they ended up linking up. Now, here's the thing. As crazy as Mama Joyce was, and at that time I really didn't see it, but Mama Joyce, as crazy as she was trying her best to look out for Candy's interests, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the people, like her mom and the people were saying that they felt like Todd was a opportunist. What's up with it? No pain. See you in here. They felt like Todd was an opportunist. Okay, he wasn't, like really into Candy as much as she may have thought that he was and everything. And after a while, Candy started bringing in the bread and stuff like that. Now, because they had actually Todd had fell on hard times. Like he was going through he had some bad deals, that went bad, that went sour and stuff like that. And a lot of people were looking at that sort of thing. And Mama Joyce was trying to tell Candy, hey, you need to watch out for yourself and all this other stuff, you know what I'm saying? And, a lot of people thought that she was crazy, including myself. Now, the whole big thing before Todd's mom, she ended up, getting sick or whatever, and then, of course, passing away or whatever. But, there was this whole thing about, Todd's mom and, Mama Joyce not getting along and stuff like that. We saw it on the show and stuff. Well, once Todd's mom had ended up passing and everything like that, then they came in and they finally, they decided to go ahead and get married. Now, here's where I think the drama started to really happen, man, between them. And this was, even before they got married. It was the whole issue about the prenuptial agreement and stuff. And Todd was taking a long time to kind of, agree to a prenup and everything, because let's just call it what it is. Everybody thought that Todd was after Candy's money because Candy was the breadwinner. She was bringing in the bread, so to speak, or whatever, and she was more of a high-profile celebrity than what he was. You said, "Hey, what's up with it, Cheyenne? I see you in here, man." We're talking about Todd Tucker and Candy Burris, but he was an opportunist. And a lot of people felt like he wanted Candy's money, if anything was, if they were ever to split up. But she specifically put, you don't get a dime in there in the prenuptial agreement if anything ever was to take place with us as far as splitting and everything. but eventually he ended up signing the prenup and everything. They ended up getting married and stuff. Now, this is the thing, man. Uh, Everything started to go a little bit sour because, going into the marriage and everything, Todd was feeling like, you know, you're too engrossed into your work and everything like that. And in the process, man, they ended up having, well, they had a kid. They had Ace, and then they had Avery, but that was a surrogate. They had a surrogate child, and then of course, Riley, which was Candy's daughter. She's a grown woman now. You know what I'm saying? But she pretty much had been around Todd since she was little and everything. And there was a lot of rumors, you know what I'm saying, about Riley breaking them up and all this other stuff, man. That I don't think that's true, you know what I'm saying, because Riley actually got along with Todd and everything like that. As crazy as it may sound. Now that I thoroughly disagree with. But the thing about it is, Todd was feeling crazy as it sounded, he was feeling like neglected or whatever. And the thing about it is Candy was saying that, she wanted to eventually have kids and stuff like that, and they were fighting over, intimacy and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Todd was feeling like, you know what I'm saying, like, I guess, in from what he said, underappreciated or whatever, and undervalued or whatever as a man or whatnot. But Candy's whole thing was, okay, if we're gonna have kids or whatever, we gotta because what's the name? Todd was withholding sex from Candy, and if you know Candy was a freak. Candy loved sex, you know what I'm saying? Candy, that was her thing. She had her own sex toy line and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you done heard, what Escape was about. If you listen to their songs and stuff like that, that's what she was about, you know what I'm saying? She's into the dungeons and exhibition, you know what I'm saying? Sex part, all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Candy's into that, you know what I'm saying? And so, but you know what I'm saying, as far as wanting a family and everything, she was ready to go ahead and have kids. But she said, in order for us to be having kids, we need to be more intimate and everything. And see, that's why, like, everybody's saying, okay, well, Ty was cheating the whole time and stuff like that, which might have been true. He might have been stepping out and everything like that, without a doubt, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm just keeping it 100. I don't think Candy was a saint neither. But of course, that's to be expected. I mean, they're living in Atlanta. Not only are they living in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, they live in a swing lifestyle or whatever. And that's why, like, I'll say this. The threesome, the whole thing about, her, having a threesome and all that other stuff, that was the reason why, stuff like that. It wasn't because of the threesome. This was all based on financial. This is for financial reasons, and also, you know what I'm saying. Like I said, I'm going off of from my theory. Some of it, what I'm saying, is facts, but at the same time, we all got to realize too, we on the outside looking in. We don't know every single thing that's going on, every single nook and cranny of what's going on in their household. But pretty much, they had Todd had felt neglected, you know what I'm saying, and all this other stuff or whatever. And later on, Candy was like, hey, why don't we just go ahead and have a threesome and stuff like that, because they were trying to revamp their relationship and stuff like that or whatever. But I mean, in the end, you know what I'm saying. You could tell they were finishing, and I kind of witnessed this because the two couples that I was really focused on that show was Apollo and Phaedra. I'm talking about when the show was at its peak, and Candy and Todd. You know what I'm saying? Because um, I just like the dynamic of what was going on to see how if they were going to actually work through what they were working through. Of course, we know Phaedra and Apollo, they had they called it quit a long time ago and everything like that. And it, and Todd and Candy seemed like they was going to work out or whatever, but I started to notice a lot of differences and stuff like that. And with Mama Joyce, you know what I'm saying, and her coming through and all that other stuff, at that time I was like, man, these guys are never going to work out. You know what I'm saying? As much as she's always intervening and stuff like that, but she, like I said, she was trying her best to look out for Candy, but she had her own way of doing it. But I felt like she should have stepped to her side a little bit and let two grown adults, handle what they were gonna handle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, she's a grown woman. I know that that's her daughter. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you got to step aside or whatever and let handle it. But Mama Joyce wasn't. She wasn't about that. She loved her daughter dearly or whatever. But sometimes I kind of felt like a part of Mama Joyce was kind of jealous a little bit, of Candy's success or whatnot. But that's a whole nother story or whatever. But like I said, man, they have been done, man. And Todd, you got to understand, man, Candy, her career just started taking off. Candy's a hustler, man. She's a hustler and a grinder. That's one thing I'll say about her. She gonna make it shake. You know what I'm saying? Like, she gonna make something move out there. You know what I'm saying? And Todd, he had a couple of things that he tried to do. You know what I'm saying? But they just didn't work out. I think he tried to start like a trucking company or something like that, and that went sour or something, and he was just having all types of financial problems. But you see with Candy, she was diving deep into everything. She had the podcast, she was doing producing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she was still heavily involved in the music and stuff like that, and she's a busy woman. She's always constantly, you know what I'm saying, flying in different countries and stuff like that. Now, this is the thing. People could say, Todd was out there. I think they were saying Todd he had been smashing some astronomical amount of women, you know what I'm saying, while they were married or whatever. But I don't know, you know what I'm saying? You never know. It could be true. I wouldn't put it past them. But at the same time, I'm not gonna put anything past Candy either. You know what I'm saying? She probably had her stuff going on too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, man. It's not like she's not an ugly woman by any means. I mean, she's a beautiful woman, so she's gonna get approached all the time. And on top of that, she's famous. She's in the industry. You know what I'm saying? She got people probably constantly trying to get at it, all the time and stuff like that. And plus, Todd was real critical of her, you know what I'm saying, saying this stuff. And I think she had heard about that, saying like, she wasn't all that pretty in the face and stuff like that. But a lot of people came to Candy's defense saying, well, who is you and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, that's just a matter, based on what everybody else said. But, man, for the most part, man, they were done, man. They were done like 2, 3, I was reluctant to say about 4 years ago, and this situation, man, was never going to get better. So I don't know why. I'm not shocked by them being, finally getting a divorce and all that other stuff or whatever. The threesome, that had nothing, with the straw that broke the camel's back. You know what I'm saying? That's not what happened. You know what I'm saying? This was a matter of these two, one feeling underappreciated, the other one, being busy. She was her thing was taking off and stuff like that. As far as her career, and it was that sort of thing. And they just, I think, really honestly, they just started to just kind of grow apart. But people could sit up here and they could feel some sympathy for Todd and everything like that. But man, when you do wrong, I mean, anytime you really got that type of lifestyle that you live in or whatever, in terms of swing and all that other stuff or whatever y'all choose to do, you got to understand that misery loves company or whatever, and you got to watch out who you bringing into your circle. You got to watch out who you bringing into your home, into your empire and stuff like that, because that could be a recipe for disaster right there. But I never, like I said, man, I wanted to see him work out, but I just knew from the get it just wasn't gonna happen, because Candy, as much as I like Candy, you know what I'm saying, Candy had an ego too. You know what I'm saying? She had an ego, she had expectations, just like a lot of women do, especially our sisters. They have expectations. You know what I'm saying? But also at the same token, she was feeling like, hey, if you're not coming with it or whatever, she got to move on or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And with a grinder and a hustler and the boss that Candy is, I mean, hell, shit, she was just gonna go ahead and make it happen. Now, I think she's like hurt by the whole situation. She's been doing, several interviews and stuff like that. She finally spoke out. Now, I haven't seen the interview as of late. I hear that there's an interview right after she had finally everything had been finalized and everything. But I want to look at that interview before. I've been hearing she's been hurt, and of course, she probably is hurting. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've had a tumultuous marriage. They've had good times. They had bad times or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they always gonna be together in a sense. You know what I'm saying? For the betterment, or for the sake of their two kids. Really, 3 kids if you count Riley. But Riley, is a grown woman right now. But we're talking about their son Ace or whatever, So, but that's just my take on it. That's my theory on it. I might be missing some things. I'm going based off of what there were some things that I saw, and there were a couple of things that just by what had been said, not just on the media, but also on the show and stuff. Because like I said, I was watching the show at its absolute peak, man. Listen, like, I know no ain't know what I'm talking about, man, because he he thought I was crazy, when I would watch the show. But man, hey, look, it was must-see TV, man, at one point when it came to Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't give a fuck what nobody say, man. That show right there, man, when it was at its peak, man, it was must-see TV, man, because it was a whole bunch of crazy shit that was happening on the show, man, and it was just crazy. And I know reality TV, you know what I'm saying, they do it to boost the ratings, you know what I'm saying, to get people entertained and, grab the audience's attention and stuff like that. But it was intriguing, man. I like the show. You know what I'm saying? I like what went on. You know what I'm saying? I like the drama on there, and I like certain guests that was on there. Like I like the fact that they had different guys that I knew as far as from that played in the NFL. Like they had Cordell Stewart on there. You know what I'm saying? And I like when they used to on there and different women on there too, like guest appearances and stuff like that, crossing over from different shows and stuff like that. I thought that was unique, but I don't think Real Housewives of Atlanta gets enough credit because when the show was at its peak, you had a lot of other show. Okay, Real Housewives of Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop. I'm talking about when they were at their peak. I'm talking about. I think the show, like maybe about 12, maybe 13 years ago, probably 12, 13 years ago, I felt like that's when the show was at its peak. When we talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop, that whole thing, they were both just dominating in terms of the views and stuff like that and viewership and stuff. And it was must see TV. So that's why like I was really into it. I mean, I was even with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, man. I used to get a kick out of Scrappy and that whole situation and Bambi and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? But after a while, I kind of moved on from watching it, whatever, because it wasn't as exciting as it once used to be or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then plus, they had different characters on there. You know what I'm saying, that I didn't really too much care for or whatnot. But hey, what's up, Alex? I see you in here, man. But yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty much what took place with Todd and Candy, man, and Candy Burris, man. And I mean, some people are shocked that they got divorced or whatever, but I'm not shocked by the situation. Like I said, I was like, man, this had been done years ago, man. You know what I'm saying? They was already headed for a disaster. Now, we all love a storybook ending. We all love a situation to, be good in the end and light at the end of the tunnel and stuff like that. But sometimes it just don't work like that, it just don't work like that. And see, again, I mean, I have to keep it 100. Todd was an opportunist, man, and he did come off like an opportunist or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He came off like, okay, well, this is a good opportunity for me to you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what it is. And when I say that, I'm talking about him pretty much, okay, Candy the breadwinner and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? She's the one that's doing this and doing that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, kind of wearing the pants, really, if you really want to be honest. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you're not making it no better if you out there, slanging everything. You know what I'm saying? And you out here, effing everybody, people that she know and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You're not making your case look any better for anything. And Riley done, she done grew up, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, I don't think Riley was trying to break them apart or I don't think that she was trying to, do anything, you know what I'm saying, to intervene or anything like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I could be wrong. I mean, she is a grown woman now, You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's crazy that, Riley done got all big and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, I had watched her grow up on the show. But it's just crazy, man, like that people think that, oh wow, I can't believe that this happened and stuff like that. Nah, man, this thing been going on for a long time, and finally shit hit the fan. So, but like I said, man, that's just my take on it, man. Y'all let me know what you think, or if y'all got any comments, let me know. The Cash App is $ straight to the point 77. I want y'all to hit that like button. You said, hey, listening while driving. Oh, hey, what's up, Ashley? Yeah, and Ashley, you probably close to the situation, you know. And like I said, I give Candy her credit. There's a lot of people that are like against Candy. They feel like Candy was not making anything better. They felt like everything was Mama Joyce's fault. You know what I'm saying? Some people feel like it was Riley. She was too much into the situation. But at the end of the day, to me, it was Todd's. Him being an opportunist. And listen, there's nothing wrong with being an opportunist if you're doing it in a way that makes business sense and you're not trying to hurt nobody from a personal perspective, man. If you're doing it like, if you've been an opportunist and let's say you're doing it just to, okay, you getting with somebody, y'all are y'all supposed to be in a relationship or a marriage or committed or something like that. But this is the opportunity for you to, okay, get your bread up and all that other stuff. And then next thing you know, you got in the back of your mind that you want to leave that person. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 100. That's fucked up right there. Now, if you trying to be an opportunist like that, to me, that's you being an opportunist. That's you being a snake, manipulative. You know what I'm saying? All that, all that wrapped into one, narcissism, all that. But if you being an opportunist in terms of business, the corporate world or whatever career path that you choose or something like that, I don't see nothing wrong with that. But because you're always taught when the opportunity presents itself, you jump on that opportunity. But I don't believe in like taking advantage of that person. Oh yeah, Candy's the breadwinner. You know what I'm saying? She got albums. She got a residual coming in and all that other stuff. Nah, man. And then on top of that, man, you supposed to be the man. You supposed to be the the leader, the head, what I'm saying, the head and not the tail, what I'm saying, the provider and the protector, all that, what I'm saying. And she might be making, more bread than you and everything like that, but at the same time, you got to show her, okay, my hustle is just as strong as yours or whatever. I'm not just going to latch on. And I think that that's what Candy was feeling like. I think that that's what she was feeling like. And then he was trying to withhold, intimacy and sex and all that other stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, come on, man. Candy, we know her. We know how she is. You know what she was into, you know what I'm saying? I mean, she was showing them toys, you know what I'm saying? Her line, her sex line, and her sex toy line. Matter of fact, I think she had a store. I think she had a store, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I think she had a store, an all-out store for her for her line or brand or whatever the case is, man. But I know she was into some freaky things. But the threesome, man, to me, I mean, that was. I'm not surprised by that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that doesn't really. That's not really a big deal. You know what I'm saying? To me, in terms of them, because Candy was into that. You know what I'm saying? They was into that. You know, into that lifestyle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you want to blame it on that's on y'all. But y'all had understanding. Y'all what y'all do in the bedroom or whatever. That's y'all private business. But she's up in there saying, okay, well, we're not doing nothing in order to get a child and all this other stuff or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hell, that's an example right there. You know what I'm saying? You putting your stuff out there, you know, for the people to know and stuff. People gonna raise questions as to, okay, well, are you really, you know, like I said, I carve it straight down the middle. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that Candy is innocent in the situation. You know what I'm saying? It do take two. I'm not even saying that Candy was, you know, 100% faithful. You know what I'm saying? But when you sitting up there and you saying stuff like that, what if he is feeling underappreciated? You know what I'm saying? What if he is feeling undervalued or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's not into. Maybe you saying some things to him that's not really getting him, I guess you could say, enticed or whatever, you know what I'm saying, into being with you and shit. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was that at times. You know what I'm saying? Because that, you know, that could be draining on a man. You know what I'm saying? You know, you coming in, you know what I'm saying, and you the dominant financial person in the household. You wearing the pants or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it gives you kind of the cachet to be like, yeah, well, you know, you need to do this and you need to do that and da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we're talking about a woman that is a celebrity. A lot of people know who she is, stuff like that. So she probably already got this ego in her mind, like, you know what I'm saying, like, well, what does this nigga do? You know what I'm saying? This nigga ain't nothing to me. You never know, she could be thinking like that. I ain't saying that she is. You said, what is supposedly the issue? It grew apart, infidelity, side. Nah, this is the thing, Ashley. Okay, what it all boils down to is Todd had a lot of, he had a lot of financial things that went wrong in the relationship. Like he had like 2 or 3 businesses that failed. Okay, so that's one reason is financial. Now, as far as the intimacy, that's what I was just talking about just now. Actually, is that with the whole, you said side child and all this other stuff, but that wasn't the case or whatever, because they had that wasn't the first time that they had been doing like having threesomes and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? That like I said, that's what I was just talking about just a few minutes ago. Candy was all into that type of stuff or whatever. Todd liked what he liked or whatever. Now, Todd, it was rumored that Todd did have a lot of women or whatever, but I mean, she still stuck by him. But then also you gotta look at it this too, Ashley, too, as well. I think another thing that played a big factor into it too was Mama Joyce. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I know that Mama Joyce was trying to look out for the best interest of Candy. Some people felt like she was kind of jealous or whatever, but she did say something that was correct about Todd, and that he was an opportunist. And that's what I was just talking about. And also, another thing that sparked a lot of stuff too, Ashley, you have to realize, I want to say in 2014, this is when the whole prenup thing had taken place or whatever, just before they was, about to, get married and everything. Todd, it took a long time to sign that prenup, and people were raising their eyebrows at that because they felt like, he pretty much wanted Candy money. That was one of the reasons why Mama Joyce had, she kind of, was trying to tell Candy, hey, this guy, he's trying to use you and stuff like that. Because I mean, she was bringing the bread. I mean, look, she might have not been no billionaire, but she was still making a lot more money, a substantial amount of money, more money than Todd was. Cause like I said, they met on set. Like initially, Ashley, everybody else up in here, Todd was a producer behind the scene. He was working behind the set of Real Housewives of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? He was he was on the set initially. So they couldn't date, they couldn't do any of that. He had to quit what he was doing. And some people might like, hey, he sacrificed his job just to be with her or whatever. Because they wouldn't have been able to date if he would have never quit his job, or even if she would have quit the show, because you're not allowed to anybody that's in production, they can't date cast members and all that stuff. You know how they go. And all this stuff about oh yeah, it was a threesome that broke him up and all that other stuff. Nah, man, that because they, like I said, they had been doing this for a long time. Them having that lifestyle that they had, they've been doing that for a long time. You said Todd. You said Todd like 5'4". She not well. She had a baby with him, and she had she married. I mean, Candy. They were in love at one point. You know what I'm saying? So obviously she liked something, but Todd, uh, like I said, he was an opportunist. I mean, at this stage right here, all that stuff don't even matter. You know what I'm saying? As far as look, because Todd was judging her. He was saying how what, and this is, like I said, this is rumor. He was saying how she wasn't all that attractive and all that other stuff, and I'm like, everybody's like, Todd, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Candy's a pretty woman, man. You know what I'm saying? I think she is, Um, and like you were saying, no pain, she could go out. I'm pretty sure she got a lot of guys, you know what I'm saying, trying to get at her and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But to me, there's not one definitive. It's not just one thing that we could pinpoint. Oh yeah, this was the reason why. You know what I'm saying? The straw that broke the camel's back and all that. Nah, it was many other factors. But I know the main thing is that Todd had a lot of things go wrong in terms of financial whatever. It seemed like Candy was soaring. She had business deals that were locking in good. Her podcast was going good. She had, stuff that was going on with Riley. So she was becoming real successful. Things, she was on the come up or whatever. You said she out nice. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, man, this situation, man, with her and Todd or whatever, man, it's been done, Ashley. It's been done. And like I said, Mama Joyce, I don't like some of the things that she did. But and like I said, that's her mom. You know what I'm saying? That's her mom. You know what I'm saying? That's you said I met him before while we're friends. We're living in A, and he was cool and cordial with everyone. No one was pressing or bothering him because of the spotlight. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, uh, from what I didn't hear. Okay, the stuff that I was hearing about Todd, man, was based on, I would say, like irresponsibility in terms of what you was doing or whatever. All that other stuff or whatever, it might be just rumors. You know what I'm saying? Him calling Kent. Look, if you're gonna call her ugly or whatever, shit. Well, then why'd you end up, getting with her? Why'd you know what I'm saying? You ended up having a kid with her, you know what I'm saying? So obviously, you know what I'm saying, something attracted you to her or something like that, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, a lot of this stuff, like I said, we are from the outside looking in. But as far as him being an opportunist and stuff like that, I don't know. It seems kind of suspect, man. I find it very odd because Candy she was out of town a lot. You know what I'm saying? She was out of town a lot. But then there was a time when Ty was traveling a lot. You know what I'm saying? They were both, doing some things. And see, Ashley and No Pain, the show, when it was at its peak, you got to remember, and Ashley probably remember this. I don't know if you remember it, No Pain, but they had the talls and they had the smalls. That I'm going way back. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about when the show was at its peak. The smalls consisted of uh, Candy and Todd and Phaedra and Apollo. You know what I'm saying? And the talls consisted of, I think it was Cynthia, Nene, uh, Sheree. You know what I'm saying? I'm going way, way back. You know what I'm saying? Portia. You know what I'm saying? Before they started bringing in new people and stuff like that. But like I said, I'm talking about when the show was at its peak. Real Housewives of Atlanta started to kind of die down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like over the last couple of years, and I think the show really died. This is just my opinion when Nene went off the show because Nene. Nene brought yeah, hey Nene, hey, I ain't gonna lie though, Nene was my girl though, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? She was a little over dramatic with it, but that one of the reasons why you tuned into the show, you like, Nene gonna do some crazy shit. We already know she gonna do some she gonna say something crazy. You said agreed. People gotta work and cannot always be at home. Do not date or marry someone that has a crazy work life. If you will be bothered, people like the checks, but not the inconvenience. Ooh, that's facts. That's facts. You said it sure did. I haven't watched the show since Nene. Yeah. She was a personality guy. Yeah, exactly. And even with what was the the white girl, yeah, Kim. You know what I'm saying? Even with her, you know what I'm saying? You might have not cared for her, but people tuned in to see what she was going to do, that was crazy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, but after Nene left, the show just kind of lost its edge, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I wasn't into it. It's kind of like with Love and Hip Hop, Ashley, and No Pain. With Love and Hip Hop, who made the show? Let's just be honest. Jocelyn Hernandez you might have not liked Jocelyn, you know what I'm saying, but people were tuning in to see what type of crazy stuff that Jocelyn was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? She was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like she was just, and a lot of people. She was kind of like a villain, but it was like she was the character that people love to hate. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Nene was. I always liked Nene though. You know what I'm saying? She was a little bit over dramatic, you know what I'm saying? She did some stuff that, I didn't really particularly agree with or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But she was driven and she was, she was successful. And I felt like outside of the show, she probably would have been a lot more successful than everybody or whatever, because she just had that type of personality or whatever. Hey, that's on you, man. You said I rarely watch any of them, but Puerto Rican, yeah. But hey, listen, Ashley, this is my thing about that, right? People would actually talk crazy about Jocelyn Hernandez, but they would tune in to watch her. I really want, like they would tune in to watch her. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, believe it or not, a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I like John." They wanted to see they like seeing John Sally. You know what I'm saying? On the I think it was John Sally. John Sally would host both of the like the I guess you could say the after show or whatever you want to call it, man. Um, or the panel or whatever, when they get everybody on there after the show and stuff, and they get them to talk and stuff. But nah, I mean, but hey, he, he was able to get them guys in there, man, and get them talking and stuff like that. But like I said, man, those two shows were dominating. And then you got other shows that try to keep up with what they were doing. Like I like the one, what's that show? The Married to Medicine. I ain't gonna lie, I like that. Huntsville. I like that show too. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't nothing like Real Housewives of Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop, both New York and Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? I like both of them. I like the one that had Peter Guns on there. You know what I'm saying? Cardi B. You said Sally. But yeah, man. Uh, like I said, man, this whole situation with Todd and Candy, man, it's people can't be surprised by that. he can't be surprised by that, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's pretty much what had taken place. It boiled down to them, Ty being a opportunist and Candy's career just taking off. You know, so but yeah, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. Sub to the channel too. Hit them notifications too. I appreciate y'all pulling up. Straight to the point, sports and entertainment. I'm out.